Canon will finally be announcing the master of everything, their flagship mirrorless camera, the Canon EOS R1. It's going to be announced 4 years after the 1DX Mark III, their last DSLR in the series, and it's going to be announced in Q1 of 2024. Want to know more? Well then stick around after this short break for all the details. But first, subscribe to this channel for a chance to win a Canon EOS R5. I'll be giving one away to one lucky subscriber once this channel reaches 100,000 subscribers. Anyone above the age of 18 with a valid mailing address is eligible. Additional terms and conditions are linked in the description down below. Canon Rumors said that we've been told by two sources to expect some kind of announcement in Q1 of 2024. If you'll recall, Canon first gave a development announcement for the EOS R3 and put it in the hands of professional photographers for the Tokyo Olympics before an official announcement. And yes, just to clarify, Canon Rumors is talking about the EOS R1, not the EOS R5 Mark II, although we are still expecting an announcement of that camera, well, just in and around the, time frame of CP+, which is usually about a week before. Now, what's interesting about the language here is some kind of announcement. Now, what that indicates is it's not going to be a full-blown announcement. It's most likely going to be some sort of development announcement. And if you recall back in October of 2019, Canon gave a very detailed development announcement in a press release of the Canon EOS 1DX Mark III. Talking about their improvements in speed, the ability to shoot at 20 frames per second, the ability to absolutely dominate in that space, talking about its video capabilities, 4K video up to 60 frames per second in 10-bit 422 internal recording, its new autofocus system based on artificial intelligence deep learning capabilities, and of course allowing it to shoot in darker situations. And this development announcement, which occurred on October the 24th, 2019, which is just a week away, was just 2 to 3 months ahead of a January announcement of the 1DX Mark III in January of 2020. As we had talked about this weekend on a patent application by Canon published on October the 13th, dealing with improvements to their autofocus system, making it faster, more efficient. It was referring to, dual pixel autofocus. It didn't mention quad pixel autofocus in any way whatsoever. Now, I wasn't too sure based on that patent filing if it excluded quad pixel autofocus, but I thought it was kind of strange knowing that the OM1 did come out already with quad pixel autofocus and that Canon had already filed a patent many years ago with quad pixel autofocus, that it wasn't necessarily that Canon wasn't going to have quad pixel autofocus in the R1 and the R5 Mark III, but I felt it was, a little bit strange that Canon didn't mention it in their patent filing instead of dual pixel autofocus. Well, Canon Rumors confirms that we've been told that quad pixel autofocus isn't ready and will not be featured in the Canon EOS R1 image sensor, though we should expect the usual improvements in overall autofocus performance. Yeah, that's a bit surprising. If you recall going back to, 2020, 2021, we had some leaked information on the Canon EOS R1 saying that it was going to have quad pixel autofocus, and we were hopeful that it didn't matter how you held the Canon EOS R1, regardless of the orientation, quad pixel autofocus was going to deliver better results. I didn't realize I was foreshadowing things on the weekend by saying that it doesn't look like quad pixel autofocus is in the bag, and based on what we're hearing here, it isn't. I find it really strange that Canon doesn't have quad pixel autofocus ready for the R1 when they had a patent back in 2020, especially since others have come out with it already, such as, OM1 by OM Systems. And that's a bit of a surprise. I mean, after all, Canon was the leader when it came to dual pixel autofocus. They were the first to announce it back in 2013. The Canon 70D, which I've got right back here, was the first camera that I ever purchased that had dual pixel autofocus, and I thought, wow, autofocus, it's easy, it just works. I don't have to fiddle around with menu settings. I was impressed, and in every camera ever since, it's been delivering impressive results. I'm very happy with it, including with the Canon EOS R5, but we are ready for some improvements. Eye-controlled autofocus that we have in the Canon EOS R3 is terrific, and I really expect to see that coming to the R1 in an improved state, as well as the Canon EOS R5 II, or the Canon EOS R5 Mark II. But Canon Rumors did go on a little bit further talking about the autofocus system improvements, saying that we've been told that Canon has impressively improved iris tracking autofocus selection. The implementation on the EOS R3 is a love it or hate it feature depending on the person using the camera. Love it? Hate it? Well, I'd rather love it. You see, depending on the scenario you're shooting, that could be very handy. Imagine you're shooting the Olympics, or, well, you're shooting family members, and you've got a lot of other subjects in the foreground. You can imagine how difficult it would be for the autofocus to actually nail that subject. And while you can use your thumb to direct it over to the right subject, what can invariably happen is if other subjects move in front or back and there's a lot of movement in the frame, the subject or the autofocus point on the subject will bounce around, and it becomes very frustrating. To have eye-controlled autofocus where you lock your eye on the subject and it stays on that subject, that could be very, very handy. And I expect to see improvements there. I expect to see improvements based on all the patent filings that I've covered over the past couple of months. They're looking exciting. Now, the one thing we didn't get in this update from Canon Rumors that they're putting as a CR3. So this is pretty much considered fact by Canon Rumors when they say CR3, meaning there's no quad pixel autofocus. We are getting some sort of announcement, perhaps a development announcement in Q1 of 2024 for the R1, but they didn't mention any other leaked specifications. However, Canon Rumors did tell us to expect a resolution bump of at least double. So from 24 megapixels, that would put it right up to 48 megapixels. And I'm thinking around 45 because that's their kind of standard size right now, but expect it to be stacked. So a minimum of 45 megapixels on the Canon EOS R1, it's going to be stacked. And we know this 100%. Why? Because of the R3. The R3 at $59.99, although on sale for $49.99, at least it was last week. The Canon EOS R3 does have a stacked sensor, so I expect to see that stacked sensor in the Canon EOS R1 of at least 45 megapixels. But any other leaked specifications, we don't have them at this point. So what I expect to see over the coming, well, weeks and months before we hit 2024, if the announcement is coming in 2024, you can start to expect to see, I'm too excited here. I apologize. Deep breath. All right, let's get back to this. We can expect to get a lot of leaked specifications, leaked images, and other information about the Canon EOS R1. I'm expecting this to be a rather big deal. Canon Rumors and others have talked about this as being a master of everything. And I don't suspect they're talking about that in a rather, well, just in Canon's lineup. I expect this is a bold statement by Canon that the Canon EOS R1 is going to be a master of everything on the market. It's going to beat the Sony Alpha 1 Mark 1, probably the Mark 2. It's going to beat the Nikon Z8 and Z9 and everything else in Canon's lineup, not just from a stills capability, but also from a video capability. Is it going to have one CF Express Type C card and one CF Express Type B card, as many are hoping that it will have, or just dual CF Express Type B cards, which I'd be more than happy with, especially with Gen 4 coming out, or Gen 4 already being announced, and we already have Gen 4 cards on the market, which offer twice the speed of Gen 3. And that's pretty significant because, remember, Gen 3 CF Express Type B cards can already deliver speeds of around 1.5 gigabytes per second, which can easily handle 20 frames per second lossless RAW at 45 megapixels. 45 megapixels, we see this on the Nikon Z8 and the Nikon Z9, and that's 1.2 gigabytes per second. Now, as Gen 4 doubles that, you could easily go up to 40 frames per second, and that's pretty fast. And in terms of video, well, we can already shoot 12K video mark at what? 12K video at, well, using current Gen 3, no problem. I mean, 8K 120 is only 650 megabytes per second, so we don't need to go to Type C. I know a lot of you are saying, what about future-proofing? Gen 4 is future-proof. Try that again. Gen 4 is future-proofing the Canon EOS R1. So if you want to stay up to date on all the latest camera gear news and rumors, specifically the Canon EOS R1, then go ahead and subscribe, but make sure you choose all notifications. Not only does it keep you up to date on the latest camera gear news and rumors, but it really helps this channel get noticed. And if you want to stay up to date on all the minor news and rumors, all those news stories that aren't quite big enough to have their own separate video, whether it be pricing information or news and rumors regarding all the major camera brands, then go ahead and follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter. And if you're looking at making a purchase on Adorama.com or B&H or Amazon, then go ahead and use my affiliate links down below. I get anywhere from 2 to 12% back, and that money's what's helped funds this channel. It funds it way more than YouTube revenue, and that's what's going to allow me to purchase the Canon EOS R1 and the Canon EOS R5 Mark II. Well, the Canon EOS R1, any idea on pricing on this one? I don't think it's going to go north of $7,000. I think $64.99 to $69.99, and the Nikon Z9 really helped set that price by lowering their price point by $1,000. But if this truly is the master of everything, Canon could be bold and raise the price. But if you look at the history of 1 Series cameras, one thing you'll notice is that at times Canon has lowered the price of their 1 Series camera from one model to the next, sometimes significantly, but again, sometimes they've raised the price significantly as well. But that's it for now. Thanks so much for watching. Have yourself a great week, and we'll see you again soon, very soon.